Hi, I'm Jeff from Trail, and today I'm going to be showing you the Haldon awning. We also do a slightly smaller version called the Holton awning. Like I said, it's slightly smaller, doesn't have a side door, but pitches exactly the same way. So today I'm going to show you how to attach the awning to the vehicle. I'm going to show you how to actually erect the awning. I'll then show you the inside, the features and benefits of the awning. I'll then show you how to detach it from the vehicle so that you can drive away. And I'll also show you how to reattach it to the vehicle. And then finally, I'll show you how to take it all down, pack it away and get it back in the bag. I've been in the outdoor industry for over 30 years and I've designed and developed these products. So hopefully it all goes to plan. So inside the bag, we have a pump, obviously because it's an air awning. So the pump itself has a pressure regulator built into it, or an air purge. So basically as soon as it gets to 7 psi, it will then basically just purge any air out the top. So you cannot overinflate the trail air awnings. So moving on to the awning itself. So what you'll find is that they come tied up with two straps like so, which just looks like bits of rag. Keep hold of these. They're very, very useful for at the end when we pack it all down. So these can go straight back into the bag. So we have a set of tent pegs. So steel tent pegs there. And then within the awning, because even though the awning is predominantly air, the front canopy on it actually uses fiberglass poles just to make it easier and easier for setup. One of the unique things with the trail awnings is the fact that we include a Driveaway kit. What the Driveaway kit does is allows you to attach this to the vehicle. Without one of these, you can't attach it to it. We include it because you need it, whereas normally with other brands, you find that you do actually have to buy this separately. They're all the same. One of these on its own is about 25, 30 quid. So obviously it's included in, which is great value for money. And it does effectively consist of a strip of K-door rail. The K-door has 6mm beading on one side, then on the other side it has 6mm beading and 4mm beading. So most vehicles with awning rails will either use 6mm or 4mm. So we're covered on most of the options there. And then the figure of eights, they simply attach one side of the beading that's attached to the van into the actual awning itself to marry the two together. So I'll take you through the process of attaching it. So to connect the awning to the van, what we need are figure of eights. So 4 of those. We need the K-door rail or the K-door strip and some tent pegs. So what we simply do is locate the 6mm. I know that the rail up there is a 6mm. There's different types of rails. This is just a very simple one. Some of them can only feed from the back. This one can feed from both sides. So all the trail awnings are designed to fit when the K-door rail or the awning rail is between 180 to 210 centimetres up. So that rail may differ on the size of van and the type of van. It can also differ if you've got a lowered van, it might be slightly lower. But the optimum fit for any trail awning is 180 to 210 centimetres. So the first thing you do, get your K-door rail in there, or your K-door strip in there. So that's in nice and tight. And then you need one piece of figure of eight to start with. And then what we need to do is feed the beading on the actual awning to the beading on the van and you connect that using the figure of 8 strip. So it's literally, we'll just feed that in on the one side there. Always helps if you have another person, because that person can just pull the awning up to the van. So that side's connected in, and then we simply connect that to the other side there, and that's just fed in. That holds it in place. So you just slide the first one down. You then just keep going with the second one. So connect on one, connect on the other. Feed it down. Again, the person at the other end can just help feed it, and if it's getting snagged on anything, can just free the snags up. Can do it by yourself, but it's just a little bit more fiddly. So always having that second person is beneficial. Feed the strips along, and you get them roughly to where you need them to be. So at this stage, if you want to just adjust it slightly, you can do. And then that is, in effect, your awning attached to your vehicle. At this point, what you want to do is secure the closest edge of the cowling to the actual vehicle. So at the bottom, what you'll find on either side of the zip are 2 elastic points. So because we're setting it all up, if you grab both, put a temp peg through both to hold them together, and then we're looking to peg that underneath the van ever so slightly. Ground's a bit rocky, so if it doesn't work to start with, just reposition your peg slightly. Again, with the cowling, it doesn't need to be exact, it just needs to be held in place. So that's that. Then you've also got a webbing strap. Again, that needs to be pegged down. Again, underneath the van. Can actually be pulled in just to help make that nice and flush. And again, up here, you can actually take some of the slack out by using the strap there. So, but for now, while we're pitching it, we'll just leave that nice and loose. So that's one side done. We'll simply go round and do the other side. So quick check that it's in okay. Likewise with this one. Take the loops on either side, put the peg through, and peg that down under the van. And then a strap at the front, that can just be pulled over a little bit more. Again, that just provides a nice seal there. So that's the awning attached to the van. It's pegged down at the back, so now we can start to inflate and put the tubes in, or put the poles in, should I say. So as you look at the awning, the actual poles with the adapters and the valves are located on the right hand side of it. And what we have is an inner ring. We've then got the actual one-way valve, which is effectively the centre bit there, and then you've got your cap. So the valves are always left open when you pack it down, which allows the air obviously to come out. So it's simply a case of screwing that in. Screws in nice and easily. Don't need to over tighten it, just needs to be hand tight really, finger tight, just so it's making a nice seal there. And then with your pump, so the end, the black end just screws in place. Like I said previously, you can't over pump or overfill the air tubes because it's restricted to 7 psi. And then here you've got several different nozzles. The one that we're interested in has got this little square red washer. You basically attach it like so and then just lock it clockwise in place so it can't come out. Then the end goes into the actual valve, and then you can just screw that. That's not overly necessary to screw it in place, but for now I will. What you'll find in use is that just by pushing it in, will actually hold it in place. So there's 2 air poles. So I've just pumped the front one up, or I'm pumping the front one up as we speak. So what you'll find is it will start to take shape. Probably hear that it's just changed ever so slightly. That means it's full. You can actually hear the excess air coming out. So we know that that's at the right pressure. And then it's simply a case of unscrewing. So we just open the red washer, pull it out, then close the cap up, and then that's the first air pole done. And then we repeat exactly the same for the second air pole. So screw the central housing in. Open the top cap and then insert the air tube. Again, I'll just screw that in just for now. Again, when you screw it in, just needs to be very loose, hand tight. Don't over screw it or over tighten it. So again, you can see that that's taking shape. So again, that's fully done now. Take the pump out, do the top cap. So that's the air bit inflated on the awning, and then what I'll do now is add the fiberglass pole to the sun canopy. So there's one fiberglass pole. This is made up of a series of sections which are connected by elastic. You've got metal ferrules, so all you simply do is push the end into the metal ferrule. You'll notice that there's 2 pre-bent or formed ferrules. So they're supposed to be like that because it basically creates a shoulder. What that shoulder does, it mimics the shoulder on the air pole, and it actually gives you more internal space. So if it was fully rounded, you'd find that it would cut off at an arc quite quickly. This basically just makes the whole awning appear to be a lot bigger. So you've then got your pole. And then at the very front of the awning, you'll find there's a black pole sleeve. So all you simply do is take your fiberglass pole and insert it into the pole sleeve. And then with the poles, because they're connected by elastic, always push them. So if you pull them at any stage, they will come apart. So it is a case of just pushing the pole in. If it comes and it sticks to something, like it is there, don't just try and force it through. Always walk across and just see exactly what the problem is. They should run quite quickly and freely. In this instance, it's just where the reinforced guy-in point is. So it's just caused a bit of an obstruction, but it easily goes through. So just push the pole through. And again, where you've got the shoulder is roughly where the sort of fabric is. So if we just lay that backwards for now, and then a bit tangled here. But as we follow the pole sleeve or the pole strap down, what we've basically got is a ring and pin. That pin simply goes into the end of that pole. And then there are also C-clips that just clip onto the pole to hold it in place. So as you can see, that's just moved over ever so slightly. So as we push from this side again, we'll just take up. Any slack. Because I can see that the guy line's twisted around that. If you see anything like that, it shouldn't be like so. Any twists, just untwist it and it will just make sure everything runs freely. Likewise on this side. So everything's nice and simple just to free off. And then so again, on this side here, you've got your ring and you've got your pin. So you just make sure that's pulled down over the shoulder as it is. That simply connects into place. And your C-clips are attached like so. So that's your both poles inflated and your front one connected. So at this stage, if we just peg out the front, that'll erect the actual structure. And then we can go around and peg it properly and get it in place properly. So we have storm straps on the front. So all we'll simply do is just get these pegged out. This stage it only has to be very, very roughly, and then we can go around and straighten everything up when we peg it correctly. So next I'll be pegging it out. So the awnings took shape. Now what we'll do is we'll just neaten everything up, get everything pegged down. So if we start at the back, and what we're looking to do is to make sure it's pulled tight at the bottom. There is adjustment on this with the webbing loop. So basically you put it through the nylon triangle. Again, 45 degrees on the peg, just hold it down properly. Get that in. And you just work your way to the front. So again, what you're looking for here is trying to keep it in a straight line. So you're pulling it sort of out and out that way, but keeping it in as much of a straight line as you can. The slight bend that you see there, basically the low vent. Again, your front corner here needs to be pulled away, but also in a straight line there. This has also got the front attachment pole to it, so you just pull that forwards a little bit, give yourself some slack. I'm looking to get that pegged. Again, always make sure you've got a little bit of movement on the actual guying point there, or the pegging point should I say, so that you can tighten it up afterwards if you need to. Then I'll come across, just do this side to start with at the front. So again, you're pulling it out. So, got a couple of guying points just at the front here, or pegging points just at the front, which obviously just hold each corner of the door in place. One there, and one there. So you supplied enough pegs for every pegging point and guy point. And again, recommend you to use every peg, every pegging point. They're there for a reason. Generally, if any damage happens to a tent or an awning, it's because it hasn't been pegged out properly. Not enough pegging points are being used. So make sure you use them. And then at the front here, we can just pull that forwards. Again, on the front, you've just got a very simple webbing tab. So you just pull that so it's in line. Tenting at an angle, or tent pegging at an angle. Do the same again on this side. So looking to get it nice and tight with the strap nice and flat on the floor. We'll just continue with the two at the side here. So if you do hit a rock or a peg, you can just readjust, either loosen the strap off a bit, just try again. So that's everything pegged in there. So now we can start to actually guy the rest of the awning out. Obviously what the guys do is just add a little bit more stability to the height and to the sides. So the rear one just needs to be pulled ever so slightly back, and then the others can be pulled to face forwards. So just a quick word about the pullers that we use. So these are just very simple friction pullers. So as you make a loop, it then holds it tight. So what you're looking for is find the end with the knot, then you want to make a loop from the knot end to where it goes back in to the actual puller itself, and then that bit there then causes the friction. So when it's not under pressure, it can move through and slide freely. As soon as it's pulled tight, it's not going anywhere. If you use the top one where the knot isn't, that will just keep moving. So there's no way of tightening that up. So we do just need to make sure the bottom loop comes from the actual knot itself. So on the front guy line here, we'll just pull that forwards. If the wind was coming from a different angle, or if it was very windy and blustery, you might just want to reposition the guy lines. But for now, they'll be okay as they are, and then we can tighten them up in a bit. So you've got two low ones at the front. Again, that just helps to give the front a bit more shape and stability. Likewise on the front canopy pole, you just want to pull that out. Again, it's being held up by these storm straps, and we'll adjust those once everything else has been pegged into place. So just a couple more to do, and then that'll be the awning pegged and guyed out. So, but it is worth taking your time, making sure it's right, making sure that all the guys and all the pegging points are used. That way you should have lots and lots of stress-free and trouble-free camping. So again, we've made the loop there. Just a little bit knotted at the bottom, so we just free that off. So last couple to do, and then that's the awning pegged and guyed out. So this one at the back, it's probably worth making it a little bit shorter so it doesn't get in the way too much of the vehicle or the back tyre. Just because if you are going to be driving off, as I will in a bit, you just don't want to drive over that. Then on your rear cowling here, just while we're around this end, basically what you've got is this strap. That strap will just pull that up and pull the cowling snug to the actual van itself. On our awnings we have 2 cowling doors, one on each side, so it means you can get in from either side, which is a feature that not every awning has, but we just like to make it easier for our customers. And then we'll just have a bit of readjustment on these front ones. Again, rocky ground here, so just move that slightly. I think this one's okay, we'll just pull it in a little bit tighter there. So that's the awning fully pegged and fully guyed out. So now I'm going to take you inside the awning, and what we'll do is we'll put the ground sheet in place. So on all the trail awnings we use a removable but fitted ground sheet. So basically the ground sheet will clip into place. So the reasons for making it removable are: 1, it's far easier to clean; 2, if it gets damaged you can actually replace it; 3, if you're forced to pitch on hard standing, or if you like to pitch on hard standing, you won't want to use a ground sheet because it will get damaged; and 4thly, if you sometimes go abroad, quite often they won't let you actually use a solid ground sheet like this, so you've got the option to take it up if you need to. Once it's clipped in place, if you don't want to remove it, if you want to leave it in place, that's fine, and it can all be packed down away with this still in place, which saves you having to do it next time. So to open the awning, we've got a big full front door. So this is waterproof, then you've got an actual big window to the front there. So just a tip for when we're rolling up doors is any external door, you can actually roll them so that it rolls underneath, like so. Slightly harder to roll, but what it actually means is that if there is a sudden downpour and you get caught in it, or the tent or awning gets caught in it, when you come to open it, you're not going to get a face full of water. So, because the water will simply just roll off. The other way, it can actually catch and pull water. You undo it, you get drenched. So, from experience, whilst it's a little bit harder and takes slightly longer to roll this way, it's far better. It also looks a little bit neater. 2 people do it, 1 on each side, looks even neater again. Behind the full door, we've then got a mesh door. So again, that can open up fully. Likewise, this can roll away. So this rolls away, and again this rolls onto, and it can roll away separately. So you could have your front door open, the mesh rolled away, you could have the mesh down and the front door rolled away, or you could have them both rolled away, as we are here. So then, as we go inside, as we get the ground sheet, like I say, it just clips into place. What you'll notice on the ground sheet is that there should be a little hook or a little ring. Basically that ring is to hold a bedroom in place. So as an accessory, you can actually buy a dark room bedroom. And that bedroom fits all the trail awnings. So you've got the little ring down there, and then you've got various hooks on the ceiling. So to hook the ground sheet in place, you've got little S rings or S hooks, and they just clip into the little rings that are on every pole. You'll notice there that hasn't got a hook to go to it because that's in line with the actual bedroom one there. So there's no real right or wrong way to hook this in. So underneath each pole you've got the ring. Sometimes it just gets stuck underneath. Just need to just put your finger underneath and just free it. At the back there, it's just a case of shimmying this across, so you get a nice tight finish there. Put this back up as well. So then moving into the features of the awning. So at the back here you've got a big door, and this leads directly into your cowling, which in turn leads into your van. So that can open fully like so, and can roll away, or you can move it to the middle bit here, put your little clip in there so the zip can't go any further past. Then the base zip to the centre point, and then just half can be rolled away. So you might have a chair or a table or something there that you don't want to get knocked, but this still allows access into the van. Obviously that can be closed up fully. Like so. Then within the awning itself you've got a low ventilation point here, and then at the back you've got a high ventilation point like so. So that allows a good flow of air through if you need it to, especially if you have your cowling doors open, and that will channel some of the air through. This will then close up and is waterproof, because if you then remove the vehicle and you take the cowling away, this then becomes the actual back of the tent. So we've made sure that and ensure that that is waterproof. So at the side of this awning, we've also got a side door. So on the smaller version, it doesn't get the side door. So we have a side door with mesh. It's also got a large window, and then the door itself opens up fully and rolls away if you want it to. So with the windows, all the windows in here can either be done down to the first tab, or you can go all the way to the bottom and simply roll away so that they're nice and neat. So big side window there, as well as the door. On this side, you've got another big side window. Again, that can be half or all the way down and rolled away. And again, when it's rolled away on the tabs like this, which is just toggle and a loop, which is what we tend to use across all the awnings, just because it's very simple, very easy, is that you've still got access to your vent there, so you still get cold air coming through. Two big side windows, or front side windows should I say. So again, they'll roll away and tab away. Likewise on this side. And then you've got your front door, which also has a window and a cover, and also has the mesh. So you've got a lot of all-round visibility. Obviously, once the windows are open, the inside gets flooded with light. One very, very unique thing, one thing that I'm very pleased about on all the trail awnings, is the fact that we've added skylights. So we have full roof skylights, and these are accessed via a zipped blind. So as with every other blind or curtain, that can just roll away. Sun's directly in my eyes now, so I can't really see. So obviously that just lets so much light in. On a day like today, you'd have that closed just because there is so much sunlight going there. But then obviously on a slightly duller day, it just allows a lot more light in. When it's going dusk in the evening, again, you can open that up and it allows more light in before you have to start turning lights on, that type of thing. And then one of the key things, obviously, if it's a starry night, you can sit inside nice and comfortable and just look out through the top at all the stars in the sky and the sky and the moon. The other thing with it being on a zip is that we can actually half close it. So it might be one of those days where the sun's bright but it's not too bright. You might just want to close some of it up. So you can just simply tuck that away like that, which then gives you a little bit more shade inside. Other things that are worth noting, just on the inside here, we have hooks on the poles, and we also have Velcro coming up on the pole sleeves on either side. So that means you can actually run a cable up to the top from either side, or you can run fairy lights. And this is something that we've mirrored on the front here. So you've got Velcro coming up to actually hold a cable or something like that in place, and then you've got a hook at the top. They're only weighted to about 2 kg, so don't hang too much off there. And again, your Velcro, that's more just for holding things in place rather than actually hanging from. But again, really good for fairy lights, that type of thing. So just while we're talking about the inside of the awning, one thing I'd like to mention is condensation. So condensation you will always get on any type of tent or awning. It's very, very much dependent on the conditions. And condensation happens when the warm air inside meets the cold air outside, and basically the warm air vapour turns into moisture. Nothing that you can really do about it as such. There's ways to minimise it, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And one night it could happen, next night it couldn't, and your conditions can be very, very similar. It very much varies. So the key thing is ventilation. So wherever possible of a night time, have your vents open. And even if it's a little bit cool, it's always worth opening your vents up just to allow some air in. So you've got your lower vent, you've got your vent here, obviously you've got your mesh on your door here. So potentially you could have your outer door open for slightly longer. Likewise, you've got this on the front here. The other thing that is very important is that close any blinds and windows up of a night time, because what this actually does is it adds another layer between the inside and the outside. So chances are of a night time you'd probably close everything up anyway. And if you do, that's great, but you can just get into the habit of doing it. And then if any condensation does form, for say on the windows, it's actually sort of hidden behind the curtain to a certain degree. So just make sure everywhere's sort of closed up, front windows, your top, sunroof, that sort of thing. And that'll also help to minimise the effects of condensation. And again, one day you can get it, next day you might not get it. Another thing I'd advise is just carry a microfiber cloth, probably just part of your camping kit, maybe just leave it in the tent. And that way, you know, if you do get condensation, just very easy to wipe off and wipe down. Wherever possible, always try and have your ground sheet in place. That stops any sort of moisture coming up from the ground, and also cuts down on condensation. And again, if you find that it is too bad, or even if you have a water spillage inside, with the loose fitted removable ground sheet, you can always take it out and get it dry. So now the awning's fully pitched, you understand the features and the benefits. I'm going to show you how to detach the awning from the vehicle to allow you to drive the vehicle away, then also how to drive back in the vehicle and reattach it. So to start with, you need to get rid of the cowling, or take the cowling off, should I say. So we undo the top and then basically unpeg it from the bottom, and then we'll just go through, do exactly the same on the other side. And then once that's nice and loose, what we can then do is remove the Driveaway kit. So to do that, we simply unslot the figure of 8. Like so, making sure that they're all connected nicely and gathered. Sometimes it's easy just to remove it from the back. So that's a cowling taken down. Got your figure of 8s and your pegs. So that's the awning disconnected from the actual vehicle. So with the cowling, rather than just leaving it flapping, what we'll actually do is just roll it away. Again, roll it under. So with the cowling, it's best to start in the centre. You just roll that under like so. So obviously you can see there that the vent's been left open. If you thought there was going to be any rain or anything like that, you'd go inside, close that vent off. If you knew there wasn't going to be any rain, you're only going to be away for a short time, then just leave it open, adds a little bit more ventilation inside. So the cowling tabs away at the top, at the corner. At the bottom and at the side. Again, it's worth doing this. You do see some people who just leave it unrolled. Problem there is it does invite damage, it's very noisy, very annoying for other people. So best just to roll it away. So that's nicely rolled away. One thing that we've put on this awning are some top guy lines, so that when it's not attached to the vehicle it naturally sort of sags forward a bit. So we've put some top guy lines on. Again, you don't find these on many awnings, if at all, but it just adds stability when you're driving away. So theoretically now the van's ready to drive off. However, what we need to do is mark the position of the van so that we know that when we drive back up we're close enough to the awning so that the actual cowling will fit and we're in the right sort of location. So to do that, best thing to do is to mark the front wheels and the rear wheels. So you can either use the pegs that you've already got, or if you get any high-vis pegs, so these are just sort of high-vis plastic pegs. So use these, slightly bigger, slightly chunkier. And then what we're looking to do is to mark the front of the wheel, probably pull it out maybe 2 or 3 inches from the actual wheel itself, just to give you enough space to get back in. Just put those in the ground. Don't have to go all the way in because you're looking as a visual marker for you. Again, get that there. And for the back wheel. So we're looking for the same again, really. So once your wheels are marked, you can then drive off. What we'll do is we'll drive off slightly forward. I'll then get out and I'll then repeg the guy lines. So I'll pull these backwards slightly and I'll repeg the others, just so that it's nice and stable for when we drive off. Obviously just driven out off slightly, which now allows me to guide the back down. A couple of the pegs here. And as you can see, it just adds a bit of stability to the awning. That, and I think they're okay. It's not that windy, so I'll leave these exactly where they were. If it was windier, you might just want to adjust the 2 rear guy lines or lower rear guy lines as well, just to make sure everything's nice and solid. So now I've driven off, I can go away, whatever. Then when I come back, what I need to do is stop before I get to the awning, because I need to remove the guy lines and then basically drive up, reconnect the cowling. So I'll do that now. Basically I've driven up, quick look to see, hopefully that'll be okay. So it's just a case now of removing these rear guy lines. Pegs down there, and hopefully getting it in the right place. So when you're driving in through your mirror, what you're actually looking for is the rear tent pegs to try and get you matched up. So here I'm slightly further forward. So what I'll do is I'll just reverse back ever so slightly. So again, slightly out, but I think that will probably do. Main thing is whether the cowling fits. Schoolboy error that I've made, I've actually left the K-door strip in place, so that needs to get removed when we remove the figure of eights. That's one thing that I forgot to do. So that's one thing you need to do, is make sure you remove that with the figure of eights, keep them somewhere safe. Obviously here, because I was just going round the block, they were okay down there, but what I'd normally do is put them actually in the awning or carry them with you in the van. So if we're going to imagine we've got back, we've taken the K-door strip out, so we've now fed the K-door strip back in. Now it's a case of making sure that the cowling goes back onto there. So we've got the figure of eight strips handy and safe, and then we undo the cowling. And at this point, if you've got a second person to help you actually pull the cowling back over onto the roof, that makes it a lot easier. Likewise, if when you're driving up, if there's two of you, then the other person can basically be directing you where you need to go. So it's always easier with two people. Again, K-door strips, we're doing exactly the same again. Or sorry, figure of eight channel into the K-door strip. And then likewise with the awning, it should just about reach, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's the first one in. And as before, just feed it straight back on. So it's actually a little bit easier once the awning's up. So just keep feeding them on and through. So that's connected up again. So as before, get the tent pegs. What we're looking to do is peg down the elastics. Into the van, or under the van, loosen that back off. move that down again. Pull that in tight. Ooh, mind my head on the wing mirror. And then pull that up. So the cowling is now attached. The awning, cowling, van are all as one again. So with the awning, or with the canopy on the front of the awning here, this is a unique feature to the trail awnings. So what we can do with this, even though it's fixed, it can actually be rolled away. So that if you're on a pitch and you haven't got that much space, or you're not allowed to have that much space, you can still use your awning, but this can be rolled away. Likewise, in high winds, I'd advise, or stormy weather, I'd advise it to roll it away, because it is just a front awning, obviously just held up by straps and guy lines and just a single pole on the front there. Having said that, it will withstand a lot of rain. So the front, as with the rest of the actual awning, has a hydrostatic head of 5,000 millimeters, so it will take a lot of rain. It'll also take a lot of sun, so it gives a lot of shade. And then the way it's been designed is that any water shouldn't really pool on the top, but actually run off down the sides. And again, the little side bits here, it runs off at a slight angle, likewise at the front there. So to take it down, quite simple. We disconnect the front, we take the fiberglass pole out, we unconnect the ground straps, and we roll it away. So that's what I'll do now. So we start by just disconnecting the front storm straps. So these are just on a little clip. So press the clip in and release. Then take out the front guys. So what we'll find here is that it will probably just collapse back in on itself a little bit, which is absolutely what we want. Then got your front pegging points. And then, good tip is just to pull that back ever so slightly, which then makes it easier to unclip the ground strap. So that just works on a little hook with a little clip. Likewise with the other one. So that's already been unpegged. Pull that in ever so slightly, so it's not under tension. That unclips like so. So once they're unclipped, we then start unclipping the front pole. So first by undoing the C-clips. So you just flip those open, and then it's a reverse of putting it in. So you basically undo the pin from the fiberglass pole. And again, as I explained earlier, with fiberglass poles, always push them, because if you don't, that happens. And if that happens in the middle of the fabric, it's quite hard to sort out and can also damage the fabric. So we push those out of the way, like so. They can then be disconnected. So in terms of rolling this up, we just loosely gather the straps together. As with everything else, can be done on your own, but it's always far better and neater to do it with two people. So with two people, one at either side, and what you're wanting to do is just loosely gather the straps, and then, as with anything else, because it's an external, some bit that we're rolling away, you want to roll underneath, like so. Just roll that up out of the way, and then with this particular model you might just need to step inside slightly. And then the standard toggle and strap So that's all nicely toggled away, or toggled away. And then it's a case of unpegging your front straps. And these need to be reattached to the actual awning itself. So on either side, you've got corresponding buckles. So you simply clip those in. One on that side, one on that side. And then the front can just be repegged. Again, should use a mallet, but I'll just use my foot for now. So then the only other thing that you might want to do is, because we've changed the structure ever so slightly, is just redo your guy lines. Again, it's all about just maintaining the strength and stability. So now what we've got is just more of a bog standard air awning, like you'd find anywhere else. Canopy's rolled away, and obviously to put the canopy back out, you just reverse it all. So camping trip's finished, time to go home. So we need to take this down, we need to get it back into that bag. So I'll show you the best method to do that. So firstly, if your awning has the front canopy rolled up, what we need to do is just unroll it. The reason for this is, what we don't want is any material that's sort of bunched together. It makes it far more difficult to roll. Likewise, inside the tent, just need to make sure that all the curtains are down, nothing's rolled up and in place. What we want is flat fabric wherever we can. So that's down like so. If your front canopy is up, you just take the pole out and then just basically just have it in that position. So then, starting at one side, what we'll simply do is undo the guy lines. Gathering the pegs as we go. And then with your guy lines, what you can do, if you want to be very neat, is you can actually roll these away. So if you lay it across the flat of your hand, wrap it round a few times, leave a little bit of spare, and then you grip it in a loop, wrap it round a couple of times, and then just pull it back on itself, like so, which will hold it in place. Don't do a fancy knot, anything like that, because it just makes it harder to undo. So with that just then holds it in place. So for this, I'm not going to do it for every single one, but it is something that you'd normally do. For now, we'll leave the front guy lines, but we will take up all of the others. So your guy lines are out, and then what we can do by taking your guy lines out, basically allows you more access to the cowling. So again, what we're doing here is basically just taking the cowling away from the vehicle. So undo the pegs, go through, undo the other side. And then, as before, we just simply want to slide out the figure of 8. Sometimes it can be easier to take it out from the back. Likewise with the cowling, we don't want to roll it up at this stage because we just want it to be nice and flat. And what you'll find is that it's probably just fall forward ever so slightly, like so, which shows that it's no longer connected. Then it's a case of undoing all the tent pegs. And before I forget again, remove the K-door strip. So it's worth just gathering all your stuff together as you do it, and then you know it's all there. So we'll take the pegs out. The reason why we left these two connected is that if the wind does pick up at any stage, it's no longer connected to the back. It's only slightly pegged here, so at least it will be held down. It also means that the front stays up a little bit more. I think that's all the pegs out. Take the front ones out now. And sometimes if there's no wind, we'll just stay up by itself. But effectively, we do want to collapse it down, and then we can deflate the air from the poles. So to deflate the air, to reverse pretty much of what we did last time. So the central section just needs to unscrew. What you'll find is this will suddenly purge out, like so. And then that cap needs to be left off. Obviously, if you put it back in, any air just stays trapped in the pole itself. So that's the first one. Second one, exactly the same. So you don't need to touch the front or the top and end cap. Don't need to touch the bottom one, literally just the middle one that you open. So, and then the air obviously will escape out. So might take a couple of minutes for the air to get out properly. So in that time, it's worth getting the awning and just making a rectangle out of it, just ahead of packing it all away. In this instance, because the grass is very dry and we haven't had any rain, there's no mud or anything like that, I've actually left the ground sheet in place. It's up to you if you take it out. If it is very dirty, you want to clean it, might be worth taking it out first before you pack it away. But as a rule of thumb, if you don't need to, leave it in place. Just saves you that step next time you come to use your awning. So, using each corner, we want to make a very rough rectangle. And then fold. Just fold all the bits into themselves. And again, what we're looking for here at this stage is that when we roll it up, we want to roll it so that all the air gets rolled towards the tubes, the open tubes at this end. Make it nice and neat for now, and again, just throw everything there. While you're waiting for all the air to come out, what we can do is start packing all the rest of the gear away. So tent pegs, collect all your tent pegs together. Again, always have them facing the same way. So that all the heads are in one direction, facing one way. And then basically you want to put your pegs into your peg bag head first. And then you just simply tie around the top. If you put them in bottom first, obviously it can pierce through the bag. Ultimately, you can either lose your tent pegs or you can damage your awning. So always put those in head first. And you've got your pole bag. So obviously with this awning, there was one fiberglass pole. So that goes in the bag. You've then got your K-door strip that you didn't leave on your van. That also goes in there. And then your figure of 8 connectors. So again, just check that you've got all 4. And then that way you know that next time you come to use it, you've got your poles, you've got your K-door strip, and you've got all of your figure 8 connectors. So in terms of actually getting that into the bag is always sized off the length of the poles. So providing you roll that up, so it's roughly the size of those poles, then it should go in quite easily. So best way to do that, you've made your rectangle. Again, what you're looking to do, you're looking to fold across so that the poles run parallel with the way you're actually folding. And you roughly want to fold it in this instance probably into thirds. Again, just have your poles there just as a bit of a measurement. Again, have your actual open valves exposed. Then as you roll it, you'll actually be forcing any air out. Any straps and things like that, tuck in. That way they won't get caught. And then using your poles as a guide, so that's about right. Again, press down on that, and then just start rolling it all up. Again, as you go, you may just need to tuck in as it naturally wants to splay out. So that's rolled over, still roughly the size of the width of the peg bag. So then at this stage, the bits of tat, the straps, you bring those back out. That little one can be thrown away, it was just off the K-door strip. So you just tie these round, tie them in a bow, don't do a double knot because you'll never get it open. And again with the straps, you're not necessarily looking to get them as tight as can be. It's more about just keeping all of this in a in a neat little package. Because then when it's like that, it means you can actually lift this up and just move it about quite freely. If it wasn't tied, it probably would have all fallen out by now. So then, tent bag itself, probably drop that over the top. The moment of truth. Roll it over. That's looking okay as it is. With the air tents, they're slightly oversized anyway, about 10% oversized, but if you're struggling to get it in, rather than trying to force a zip, one thing you can do to make it slightly smaller is actually cinch it in using the straps, and that will help to squeeze out any more air that's inside. And then you loosen one strap off and the other, that means you can actually zip it quite easily. So there's still quite a lot of space in there, which is good because the pump's still got to go in. So with the pump, unscrew the hose. Pump fits in there. Hose fits in there. And again, personally, I always put the pegs in last and separately. One, because it means you're not rolling them up in the tent, so they're not going to catch on anything. But it also means that if you're just there, you know that your tent pegs are actually in the tent peg bag, or should I say in the carry bag. So you know straight away that you have actually got your tent pegs with you.